So let us do this. Let's talk about some tools and let's make sure it's relevant to you all as we move forward. So feel free to unmute yourself and chime in. And thanks to everybody who's joined us again. I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing I'd like to do is, in addition to the things which are happening there, to map it onto general dynamics which are happening not only with multiple families, it may be in Champaign, but also things we're seeing across the country. I'm going to show you a brief clip based on behavioral challenges that are the basis of a referral. Now, as you look at this, keep in mind that the basis of the referral is behavior. So this type of strong families protocol is targeting those who refer because of disruptive behavior, externalizing behavior, so, conduct problems. However, let's put this into the socio-ecological context of what contributes to these problems and what's underlying this behavior, that is not just about what's wrong with you, but it's about what's happened to you and how we can fix it. So let me share this clip. And as always, if anybody needs a break, might see something that's triggering, just, take care of yourself as we're moving through this. So the first thing is this video clip, and then we'll discuss what you've seen. I'm gonna give you some background on this video after it's over.
Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Let him go, let him go, let him go. Go. Come here, what's wrong? Come here. Who? 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 Come here, man. Come here. Be cool, Joe. What I tell you, it's Friday. It's Friday, right?
What do I do? What can you do?
After school, Benny Warren and his friends sometimes go to a small neighborhood playground. It is run down and has no basketball hoops, but they feel safe there. Benny has a reputation as a tense and anxious person.
It's not safe outside because there's a lot of killing and a lot of drug dealers. People are kidnapped and killed. Where I live at, my brother got killed from the alley, where the alley I live in. And my brother, he got killed up 7-Eleven. Just because of a girl. My brother got killed over money. And they ain't even take nothing. They just killed him.
What happened?
He was coming back to buy me and my sister a coat and some boots. And they took him in it. One of them snatched his chain, robbed him. Then they just took his money. And then they ran, took him in the alley and set him up and shot him in the back. And then they shot him in the leg.
Benny's brother was shot in the alley just behind his house. It happened 2 years ago when Benny was 10. Since his brother was killed, he suffered from stomach pains and began having problems with his temper. The end of the alley where his brother died has become piled with trash.
These kids are in need of everything.
Fights at Westport are common. Grudges from the neighborhood are often brought to school. Gail Adams is an assistant principal who often helps supervise the cafeteria at lunchtime. She fractured her wrist breaking up another fight not long ago.
Take none of that shit with my little brother. I said stop. Stop.
The boys are brothers, and the reason for the fight is unclear. Recently, the boys' mother died of AIDS. Their grandmother started caring for them, but then she died too. The brothers now live in a crowded and difficult situation with an aunt. There are no official records, but the Westport staff says an alarming number of students do not live with even one biological parent.
What time did you go to bed last night?
Late. Oh? Why were you sleeping today in class?
Woke up too early.
You woke up too early. You talked to your aunt last night. Is something bothering you? You sure?
Did you eat dinner last night? Did your aunt fix dinner last night? So what did you eat? Nothing. So I imagine you are hungry. You probably need both.
He said he was hungry.
Hunger is a problem at Westport, and for many of the students here, the school's breakfast and lunch programs provide much of their food. The demands to cope with students' problems grow bigger each year.
Get ready. Good. Willie, turn around. Turn around and stop. Devontae, that was really good. Kevin, would you like to try it for us, please? Yeah. Could you sit nicely, please? Put your finger where it belongs. Kevin, put your finger where it belongs, please.
Ms. Martell teaches kindergarten at Westport. She's been a teacher for 15 years. Her students, she says, are becoming harder to teach. More are impulsive and have difficulty paying attention.
I know how to do it.
Well, go ahead, do it. Fix it, please. Do it all by yourself. Show Willie and Devontae how to do it, okay? Come on. The children are harder to handle. I see children who can't follow the rules, children who are constantly yelling out, talking out loud when you're trying to read a story, children who are talking when you're trying to read a story, those types of behaviors.
One more number.
I need you to help me pass the paper towels out, okay?
This year, one of Miss Martell's more difficult students is 5-year-old Kevin.
Kevin needs a lot of individual attention. I cannot handle my group when he's aggressive and when he won't cooperate. I would like for you to put your head down until I call your name, okay?
Just after reading group, Kevin stabbed a little girl with a pair of scissors, so he was expelled from class for the rest of the day. Kevin is often in trouble and has no friends.
I'd like you to imagine you are the clinician who received the referral either from the young man who was into conflict with his older brother, the older brother, or Kevin, who is having some classroom challenges. And you think the referral is going to say typically behavior problem. Their behavior is a problem. And in some cases, the behavior is alarming. But what do you do from a perspective of what's the main reason they're facing these situations? And then how would you proceed, as we're about to, with case conceptualization, treatment planning, and beginning to launch some type of therapy procedures? Just some reactions from what you see, how much that might look like your clients, some or all of them, or you see similar situations, and how do you kind of respond to that as you're getting ready to start therapy? So these are good points about keeping in mind some of the causes have to do with the inability to express vulnerability, which is actually sympathetic, dealing with loss, which actually would provoke or prompt someone to give you support, that you might express an aggression, which actually will push away maybe not only people who could help you, but people who might be trying to help you, even if they're professionals, right? And that could be, we have to be honest, stabbing a girl in your classroom with scissors is dangerous. It could be you get expelled out the classroom. And even if we're the therapist and we want to help, certain things are going to be taken out of my hand if your behavior is dangerous, right? Even if I want to say, well, let's keep them in the classroom. I want to do a classroom focused, keep them in the inclusive environment. Let me do a classroom focused intervention. They'd be like, once you start stabbing, you got to go. And sometimes they're not even going to consult us about that. They're just going to do it. even though we know there's more stuff that's there. You hit another interesting point, which is how does self-identity drive the expression? We were just talking, Karen and I, about being able to regulate when you've been triggered. And being able to regulate your emotions, how do you express it in ways other than exploding or even turning on the ones who are closest to you? Sounds like the brothers are the most stable, consistent presence they have to each other. And unfortunately, they're in conflict with each other. How you show it and what type of response you expect plays a role. So if I show vulnerability and I'm mocked or teased, or people look at me like, "What you crying for?" We all go through it, and I might numb myself and desensitize myself to really processing some hurt I actually have. On the other hand, I'm encouraged that the young people will share their loss. I'm concerned that they do it in such a flat manner, and I would just have to keep it real. Why do we have 9 and 10-year-olds comforting each other on the playground, and that's all they have? So I'm thankful we have trauma-informed therapists like yourselves who could be available. It's like give them some additional options. But there are a lot of kids, they processing and dealing with all this stuff on their own or with each other. And you did notice that even though they're those younger kids on the playground are close to each other, they popped each other in the mouth, right? And so they're being physically they're trying to physically work out their situations. I hope they don't hurt each other. Sometimes you get hurt and roughed up, but that's still your friend. So for those of us who work with young people who are involved in so-called antisocial organizations, the street organizations and gangs, and people say, why don't you just cut your friend loose? Your friend's got guns, your friend's taking drugs, your friend is shooting, your friend is in and out of juvenile detention, your friend is in and out of jail. Why don't you just cut them loose? What's wrong with you? Why you keep hanging out with them? That was my friend I was talking to about those losses in my life when I was 9 and you were nowhere around. And so it's not so easy just to cut off peer groups that you've grown up with and who have provided certain forms of support, though you can adjust when you hang around them and what you do when you hang around as best you can, so you can have some different choices.